Well, much has happened since my grandmother gave me that building. There's something to be said when someone believes in you. Don't ever underestimate the power of positive words in someone's life spoken at the right moment. Her words, "You're good for it," stayed with me. And for the next decade, I put my nose down and I worked so very hard. Good close friends will tell you they don't even recognize me now, because there was a season where I just lost myself. I mean, I just dove in, and we were so busy. We would have 30 to 40 people a day. All I did was manage employees, and I really should come back another day and tell you the story of the first day we opened. It was just, the first day I opened was a nightmare. I really almost wanted to quit. I thought I made a mistake. It's another story for another day. But it just grew and grew and grew to the point that it was like, you raised a horse that overran you. I was overrun and undone by the business that I had gradually phased out the photography. When I hit 3,000 babies, I was exhausted and tired. And now I've got a whole same business, but they overlap for a good year or more. But then this business grew and was almost overrunning me as well. And I had gone from a girl in a packed car, not knowing what end is up, to just overcome by purpose. And I remember a few highlights that I can tell you that I remember that were just key moments where, as we were growing, it was a very, very busy day, and one of my employees said, the Ritz-Carlton is on the phone, and they had started referring people to us. It was just kind of a key moment that I remember thinking they found us. But then ABC News called, local news, and they said, "We were wondering if we could bring our cameras and broadcast live in your garden during lunch." I'll never forget that phone call. And I said, "You want my permission?" I said, "I will take the fence out and you can drive your trucks right in my garden." I mean, that was a really exciting day for us. And I remember one time it was absolutely pouring rain, just pouring. And it was back when we didn't really do reservations, and just kind of the rain scared everyone off and at that time. And the people that were there, I've learned that sometimes the slowest days are the most exciting and the best days, because God always has something in mind when it slows down. I've really come to trust that. But this particular table ended up asking me if they could put me on the cover of a magazine, and they didn't tell me how they were going to word it or anything. Of course I was honored, and when I got the magazine, it said in all caps, "Design Star." Again, I say all this to give God all the glory, because I've told you. I told you the whole story. I had no idea what was happening in my life. I was a girl with stuffed animals, and I was in a bed with stuffed animals, crying my head out. Now I'm on the cover of a magazine. And so it kept growing, and to the point of complete and total burnout. And I finally reached out to a CPA tax lawyer who really changed my life. And I'm paying her a ridiculous amount of money per hour, so I had to listen to her. Even though I didn't really want to listen, I listened. And she said, "Listen, you need to change your business model to really give your time and your energy to those that really appreciate you and what you do, and that's it. And really focus on whether it's a party of 2 or if it's a party of 20, give them your very best. Just like you did with photography, you went from masses to photography was art and jewelry, and do the same with your life, and give people who love you and appreciate your best. And that's what we did. And it really took all the pressure off. I mean, from then we have been blessed. We've had, now this is the year 2023 as I record this, but to date, 2023, we've had over 1,200, maybe 1,300 bridal, baby showers, and small weddings, and 4-course private property events, and I don't even know how many birthdays. Tens of thousands of birthdays here. But it has been such a huge relief and blessing, and I think everyone's happier. I'm happier. I don't manage people anymore as much as I enjoy the people. And I really need to save for a whole nother day. There will be short stories within the stories of the many people who have been with me that have made this place what it is. But Mike is one of those. Mike has been running this since 2011, and he's the secret behind the scenes that he is his own motion picture film. He is no doubt sent to me by God. I 100% believe that God sent him here, and that's another story for another day, but he deserves a lot of credit. But I wanted to say that in thinking of my grandmother and thinking of her believing, and when I was I would say about 3 years ago, so like around 2020 or so, TripAdvisor, the customers voted that we were, or ranked us as number 1 out of 683 restaurants in Sarasota. A girl who doesn't cook, who doesn't have any experience. And I knew immediately that was because of the story. There's a heart behind this place. And shortly thereafter, I think it was within the same year, TripAdvisor called us and they said, "We'd like to congratulate you. You have hit top 10% in the world." And I wept. I said, first I laughed. I said, you have to have the wrong number. And they said, no, the reason we vote anyone into that category, the way it works is it's really based on consistency. Around the world, if you're consistently providing for your clients, you end up in that category. And again, I thought of my grandmother's words, "You're good for it," but I really thought about my journey. It's been really, really good for me to sit here all this time and tell you the story from the beginning, in that window in New York to where I am now. And I pray that it will encourage you, and it does encourage me to even hear myself again, that when you hit points in your life where you either at a stalemate or you're just not sure what's going on, because life has a way of doing that. And sometimes it just pure leaves you flat on your face. I just like to encourage you to remember this story, because I know that if you just call out to God and hang in there and keep hanging in there and keep chasing Him, there's no way you can fail, because it's His job to direct your steps. It's His job to show up, and it's His job to order you. You have gifts, you have talents that nobody but you, no one before you and no one after you can bring to the table. I used to feel dispensable when I was in the corporate world. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the corporate world. This is not a knock on anyone working in that environment, but I was being called to something else. But at the time I felt very dispensable. And I no longer feel that way. I feel very indispensable, to the point that we joke about how can I get out of here so that other people... You're indispensable. Pray and ask God to show you your gifts if you don't already know them, and get as quickly as you can into His perfect will for your life, because there is such a beautiful, calm, peaceful, joy-filled, there's a contentment that comes with being in His perfect will. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is, I have finished the work that You've called me to do. I have finished the race. By telling you this story, I have finished a leg of my race. I made a promise to God. Those 23 years ago, that if He would answer my prayer, I would tell His story. And today I told it.